I never thought a crowded morning bus would turn my ordinary commute into the start of something I can't confess to anyone. I'm standing crushed against the pole, my wife's voice still ringing in my ears from our quick argument before I left the house. Sharp words about nothing and everything. The bus lurches forward and she presses right into me, the quiet, married woman from my apartment building who always gets on at the same stop. Her husband usually drops her off, but today she's alone. Her soft breast accidentally brush my chest through her thin blouse as the crowd pushes us together with nowhere to move. Heat blooms where we touch. I freeze, breath caught somewhere high in my throat. That first unavoidable contact sends a jolt through me. Her light floral perfume mixes with the stale bus air and suddenly fills my lungs, triggering the memory of how my wife used to smell before our nights grew cold and silent. I feel my body react despite myself. This is just the bus, it's nothing. She's someone's wife and married too. But my eyes keep dropping to the way her hair brushes my shoulder, strands catching faintly against my jacket like they belong there. God, I hate how aware I am of every inch between us. Or rather, how there is no inch. The next morning the bus is even more packed. We end up in the same spot again, her back now pressed against my front as the vehicle sways through traffic. Every brake and acceleration rocks us together in a slow, rhythmic grind that feels far too much like something private. She answers softly, "It's okay. These buses are impossible," her voice barely carrying over the engine. I feel the warmth of her body linger even after the touch ends, sinking into my skin like a secret I didn't ask for. Inside I'm already rationalizing. My wife barely touches me anymore. This is just accidental, harmless proximity. Nothing more, yet my pulse refuses to listen. By the third day we've started exchanging small smiles of shared resignation when we spot each other at the stop. Today her hand grips the same pole as mine, our fingers accidentally overlapping. The texture of her soft skin against my rougher palm sends heat straight through me, quick and bright like a match struck in the dark. I pull away first, but the memory of that brief contact stays with me all day at work, feeding a growing obsession I try to push down with thoughts of my wedding ring and the life I'm supposed to protect. Still, when I close my eyes at my desk, it's her fingers I feel, not the cold metal of the ring. Midweek the bus is delayed in heavy rain, the kind that turns the windows into blurred mirrors and makes every breath feel heavier. We're soaked through, standing even closer than before, her damp blouse clinging in ways that pull my gaze despite every warning in my head. She laughs quietly at the absurdity of it all, a soft sound that cuts through the usual drone of tires on wet pavement like something meant only for me. I laugh with her before I can stop myself. Our eyes meet for half a second longer than they should, and I feel the warmth of her body, radiating through the thin wet fabric, pressing against my side with every sway of the crowded aisle. The way her hair sticks to her neck, dark strands tracing skin still glistening from the downpour. It's too much. I tell myself it's just the rain making everything feel intimate. Just two strangers caught in the same miserable morning. Yet when the bus jolts over a puddle, I let my arm rest lightly along her side a second longer than necessary. My fingers hover near the curve of her waist, not quite touching, but close enough to feel the heat trapped between us. She doesn't shift away. That small surrender sends electricity humming under my skin, and inside I'm pleading with myself. Stop noticing how good she feels. This is someone else's wife. You have a ring on your finger and a life waiting at home that's already cracking at the edges. The following Monday, she's wearing the same perfume that now haunts me every time the bus doors hiss open. We're pressed together again in the morning rush, her hip nestled against mine as the vehicle lurches forward. This time when she shifts, the pressure feels different, deliberate like a question asked without words. My heart slams against my ribs so hard I'm sure she can feel it through my coat. Her husband is always traveling for work, I remind myself, and my wife has grown so distant lately, her touch is rare and cold like an afterthought. We're both just lonely people snatching tiny moments of human warmth in this endless commute, right? Nothing more. I don't move away. Instead I breathe her in, that light floral scent mixing with the damp city air, wrapping around my thoughts until everything else fades. By now we've started saving the same corner spot without ever speaking about it. Today the bus hits a deep pothole and her hand flies back to steady herself, landing high on my thigh. She doesn't pull it away immediately. The heat of her palm seeps through my trousers, burning straight into me, and I forget how to swallow. "You all right?" I whisper, my voice barely above the engine's rumble. She nods, her breath warm against my neck, carrying that same perfume that makes my pulse spike like a secret I can't keep buried. Inside in, splitting in two. This is crossing a line. Pull back now before it becomes something you can't undo, before the guilt eats you alive at dinner with your wife tonight. But the growing ache wins. Slowly, carefully, hidden by the press of bodies around us, I cover her hand with mine for one brief, trembling second. Her fingers don't flinch. They curl just slightly, as if answering, and the world narrows to that single point of contact. Skin on fabric, warmth on warmth. A silent agreement neither of us should be making. The bus sways again, rocking us in that slow, inevitable rhythm. And I feel the edge of something dangerous pulling closer. Her breath catches softly near my ear, and I wonder how long we can keep pretending this is still just the crowded commute. How long before one of us stops pretending altogether? We've started saving that same shadowed corner near the back without a single word passing between us, as if the bus itself has claimed it for whatever this is becoming. Today it lurches hard over a pothole and her hand flies back, landing high on my thigh, fingers spreading just enough to send fire racing up my leg. She'd osn't snatch it away. The warmth of her palm presses through the fabric, steady, deliberate, burning into skin that suddenly feels too tight. "You all right?" I breathe, the words barely escaping, lost under the growl of the engine. She nods once, slow, and her breath ghosts swarm across my neck, carrying that faint floral trace that now lives under my ribs like a second heartbeat. My mind screams at me to shift, to break the contact, to remember the ring cutting into my finger and the cold bed waiting at home. But the hunger wins. Hidden by the crush of coats and briefcases, I slide my hand over hers for one stolen second, feeling her fingers tremble then curl lightly in answer. Skin on fabric, heat answering heat, a silent pact sealed in the sway. Friday evening the crowd thins after the main rush, leaving us near the back with unexpected breathing room that somehow makes everything worse. She leans her head back against my chest for the briefest moment, as if the weight of the week has finally pulled her under. Her hair brushes my chin, soft strands carrying that same scent that spikes my pulse until I can hear it in my ears. I feel myself harden against the curve of her, undeniable now, and she doesn't pull away. Not even an inch. God, the guilt crashes over me like ice water. I love my wife, or at least I used to, back when our nights weren't filled with silence and turned backs. This secret shared space where no one knows us, where the bus rocks us together in its own slow, intimate rhythm. Yet I stay exactly where I am, letting the motion press us closer, my breath shallow as her body molds to mine for one heartbeat, then another. The almost touch of her warmth through layers of cloth feels heavier than any deliberate caress ever could. The next week the tension coils so tight I can barely stand it. During a long red light she turns just slightly, enough for her breasts to press fully against my chest through her blouse. Her eyes lift to mine for the first time with unmistakable awareness, dark and knowing, a small smile curving her lips that says she feels every inch of what's happening between us. No words, just that quiet acknowledgement hanging in the stale air. My thoughts fracture. We're both married. This could shatter everything we're supposed to protect. Her husband's constant absences, Qingdiao worn every defense paper thin until all that's left is this aching pull, this gravity neither of us fights anymore. Engine humming low, and I let my hands settle on the small of her back, hidden by the remaining bodies around us. Feeling the subtle rise and fall of her breathing, the faint tremor that mirrors my own, she doesn't step away. If anything, she leans in a fraction more, letting the contact deepen until the heat between us feels like it might ignite the very air. My fingers itch to trace higher, to slip beneath the edge of her jacket where skin waits. Warm and forbidden, the rational voice in my head grows fainter, drowned out by the steady rhythm of the bus and the pounding in my chest. I wonder how much longer we can balance on this knife's edge. The bus lurches forward again, swallowing us deeper into the evening flow, and suddenly her stop flashes past the smeared window. She doesn't move, neither do I. My fingers stay exactly where they shouldn't, hidden beneath the soft hem of her skirt, tracing slow, secret paths against slick warmth that makes my pulse stutter. Every sway of the crowded aisle rocks her body against mine in tiny, helpless rhythms. Her breath catches, a fragile sound lost beneath the engine's growl. I feel her thighs tremble around my hand, clenching just enough to pull me deeper into this madness we can't name. I shouldn't. God, I know I shouldn't. My wife's face flickers behind my eyes, tired and distant after another silent dinner. This woman. She has a husband, too, one who leaves her waiting in empty houses while we pretend this daily crush of bodies is still innocent. Surrender blooming in the spaces where our skin almost meets. Her scent, that faint floral trace mixed with something warmer now, something unmistakably hers, wraps around me like smoke. It clings to my fingers even as they move, gentle, insistent. Drawing out tiny gasps she tries to bury against my shoulder. The next light turns red. The bus shudders to a halt, and for one suspended breath the world narrows to just us. Her hips shift in the smallest circle, chasing the friction we both crave without ever speaking it aloud. Heat floods my chest, a drowning wave that pulls me under. I'm lost in the way her body answers mine, rocking with the idle engine, every subtle press sending electricity skittering up my spine. No kiss, no words beyond the hitch in her breathing that sounds like my name almost breaking free. Just this frantic, hidden dance in plain sight, coats and strangers shielding what feels like the only real thing left in my days. My mind fractures between stop and don't you dare stop. The guilt tastes metallic, sharp as the ring still heavy on my finger. But the ache wins, the hunger that's been building through weeks of almost touches and stolen glances. Her hand finds my wrist beneath the fabric, not pushing away, guiding, trembling, urging me onward until her whole frame tightens around the secret we're sharing. Satisfaction crashes through me like thunder, mirrored in the flush climbing her neck, the way her lashes flutter half-closed. We don't look at each other fully. We can't. One glance might shatter the fragile illusion that this is still just a crowded bus ride. The light changes. I finally ease my hand back, slow, reluctant, the air suddenly cold where her heat had branded me. Her scent lingers on my skin, intimate and damning, a ghost still carry all the way home. She exhales shakily, face still burning with the same mix of release and shame that twists in my gut. The bus doors hiss open at the following stop. We step off separately, careful inches between us now, as if distance could erase what just happened. One last glance over her shoulder, dark eyes meeting mine for a heartbeat that stretches too long. It says everything well, never voice, the craving, the regret, the silent promise that tomorrow's commute might pull us under again. I walk away into the cooling night, legs unsteady, her warmth still echoing through my veins like a fever I don't want to break. How long can we keep pretending? The question burns hotter than any touch, lingering in the quiet between heartbeats. Wondering when the next unavoidable sway will drag us both back into this delicious, devastating secret.